All right, hello everybody. Okay, so today we have another new topic. It's on cancel culture. All right, so cancel culture, toxic or is it a tool for social justice? All right, so I think we thought about this topic, or we thought of this topic because of recent events, specifically uh, things that are going on in with NOC, Night Owl Cinematics. Right. But there are other things going on internationally as well. All right, but before we do that, let me just point out that for me personally, my own stand is that cancel culture is actually a tool for social justice. Yeah, that's my stand. Uh, yeah,
Right.
yeah. What do you think?
Well, I think it can be used as a tool, but at the same time, it can be like, it can be very toxic as well. Yeah. It's a double-edged sword.
See,
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Don as well. But I think we need to define what cancel culture is. I think we can basically agree is finding something that is unacceptable by like our standards of society today, whether is it in media, writing, speeches, or actions. And the the part that makes it cancel culture is just to calling like all of these actors or celebrities out to be seized or destroyed lah.
yeah. So essentially, it's
Yeah, go on.
yeah, this idea of the public essentially, I think when they decide to stop supporting the organization or even the individual, right?
Right.
To support supporting them. So essentially, I can think of the word boycott. Essentially, would you all consider cancel culture essentially boycotting? Would it be the same?
Not really.
No.
Boycott is like more like, oh, I'm just not gonna watch it lah. I'm not gonna watch this show or listen to this artist or what. You get what I mean? But cancel culture is more like, I'm
They
not
want
gonna
it
listen
gone.
to you. Yeah. And they also want to rally up a huge crowd to be on their side, to not watch them or support them. You get they
Just
need
like
support. It's like a protest. Yeah, online protest.
Yeah, I think it goes further than boycott also, because they don't just want, like, for example, if you see Dave Chappelle, recently he made some transgender jokes, right? Then they don't just want him to have his show on Netflix, his current show. They want to totally remove him from Netflix. All his old shows also, where he doesn't even talk about transgenderism, also is seen as evil or disgusting.
Yeah.
Because of that one incident where he may or may have not been too inclusive with his jokes, I guess. And I don't think it's like a new thing. I think cancel culture has been around for super long. It's just the ways in which our society does it today. Like from, I think, the 5th century BC in Athens, they actually have this process called ostracization. Like, so if you're a nasty person, right, Don, if nobody liked you, right, I think it needed 6,000 people to vote against you. Okay, so everyone will have this like sort of general election thing where there's a ballot and everything. And how they would vote, right, was to use like shards, so like rocks or whatever. And they say out your name, for example, Don, and then everyone voted. They put 6,000 rocks down. Okay, and they counted, and then the end of the day, they count, really just nice 6,000. You have 10 days to leave the country, right? Or they will kill you. Like literally kill you.
So it's a voting system.
Yeah, and if you were
that's how they judge it.
Messed up at that time, because in that kind of century and civilization, it was a very different type of living, right? If, like, for example, you didn't follow the norm, like let's say you were a fuck boy and then you had a lot of girlfriends, right? And then everyone hated you because of that could be enough to kill you if you didn't leave in 10 days. But obviously today with internet, like Twitter, social media, all of this information can be coming off in so many ways. And then Photoshop, text messaging. So it makes it a lot more controversial, and the information you get is at a much faster rate. I mean, last time when you were hearing these kind of things about a neighbor, whatever, it had to be like word of mouth. And now it's just like, you just open up, press Twitter or press mothership or whatever, and then bam, there's some
Mm.
article going crazy about this celebrity who has this rape allegation here or there.
Yeah.
So does this make it toxic? The fact that it's speedy, that the speed of by which people are calling out this individual. So does that make it toxic?
I I would say no, because that is solely based on technology, right? I would say how people react to it. I'll give you an example.
Mm.
Someone does a mistake, and then people are like, go fucking kill yourself, you go and die. All those harsh comments you hear. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
They literally want to
Yes.
fucking destroy that person mentally and everything. So I think that's where the toxicity comes about.
Yeah. Okay, I won't deny that there's that level of responses as part of the cancel culture, but I would argue that those can be considered as just a bullying tactic or bullying strategy, not really so much about cancel culture. So not so much about that person wanting to cancel this individual, but more of the intention of I just want to harass you for the sake of harassing, right? Not so much about the intention of, hey, look, you have done an injustice. You need to be shut down.
But I think it comes with the
yeah.
territory. I think cancel culture, it brings along the ugly aspect. So, and there's just no avoiding it. You see the NOC and Silver, I think we can agree that the death threats and the leaked sex tape was too far, right? Like no matter what she did, even if she killed someone, I think doing all these death threats and leaking their porn or whatever is just out of line.
Yeah. It always come to that point where they will just throw out all the daggers at you, everything. So yeah, that's why it's toxic. And then another thing why it's toxic would be, now let's say the person apologizes for what they did, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't just end there. It will just follow them for a time period. Remember the guy named Logan Paul, what he did?
Yeah.
Yeah, he went to this.
So
yeah. So yeah, he did something horrible in the forest. Yeah. And then it really followed him for a while.
So essentially, if I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, so he went to this Japanese forest in Japan.
The suicide forest,
suicide forest. Then he took a picture of a dead body.
Yeah,
dead body, and he was smiling with it. He was posing at the same time. Yeah. So, and then he put it up, and then that drew criticism, obviously. And then he did apologize, but you were saying right on that people didn't accept his apology, right?
Yeah. The good thing is now it's like forgotten, lah. He's like he's back on track. He got his another career and things like that. People don't talk about it,
Yeah. So on that note, so you are one who argue that people should be given chances.
Yeah.
Right. So people shouldn't be cancelled immediately for just one mistake. That's what I say.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think with cancel culture, it's very hard to come back from. Like, yeah, you can bring up the Logan Paul thing, which is
sorry, you're breaking up.
All right. Yeah, no. So I was saying that like that's the one toxic aspect of cancel culture where even if the person apologizes and changes, right? Like so the society that already cancelled him doesn't really give him a chance to come up to grow as a person. Like he's already kind of like kicked out of society. And Logan Paul case, right? Yeah, is quite amazing that he's able to come back and then he has his own impulsive podcast right now. He's doing like very good on YouTube again, so his career is back on track. But then that's quite an exception, right? It doesn't make the rule. Like I think majority of the people that get cancelled, especially wrongfully cancelled, right? They don't have their careers back. They don't have all the opportunities again. They're not seen in the same light. All the damage is already done, especially if it's a wrongful cancellation. If you look at like Johnny Depp, at first when he had his divorce with I think what's Amber Heard or something, right? His wife. And then everyone was trying not to associate with him, calling him a wife beater, calling him Chris Brown #2. stuff like that. And then actually when the more evidence came out, actually he found out that she was the one spreading all the lies and that he was the one that was being
Yeah.
abused in that relationship, and he got his finger cut off and stuff like that from this crazy bitch, right?
Yeah. Yeah, she's crazy as fuck. Well, hot
Yeah.
though.
Yeah. Okay. So, interesting. You talk about wrongful allegations, right? Wrongfully cancelled. But regarding Logan Paul, I would think that he had such a hardcore base of fans that they didn't care what he was doing. Even if he wasn't apologizing, I think there were already some fans who were saying that, so what's wrong with him smiling in front of a dead body, so there's nothing wrong. So I think that helped him recover from attempts to cancel him. So that's my take. I could be wrong though. But speaking of recovery, I think there's this recent Korean actor who also sort of, I guess, survived being almost being cancelled. This is quite recent though. He's the actor for a Korean drama called something to do with Cha Town or something. Right? Not sure whether you've heard of it.
What did he do wrong? I think I've heard about
Okay,
it.
so this is something recent. So what he did wrong was essentially, I think he asked his girlfriend to abort the baby that she was having. So in South Korea, I think abortion is looked down upon now. So it's a taboo one. So you're not supposed to abort. So when he made that comment, so then people started to criticize, and I think, but I think somehow he survived lah. I think partly because when people started to dig up the further information, they realized, hey, look, it was actually the girlfriend who has been, who at that time when they were together, she was not loyal and things like that. Then, and that this Korean actor was actually a victim, right, of an abusive relationship that the two of them had. So they sort of forgave the fact that he asked the girlfriend to abort the baby. Yeah. So so that's something recent though. So,
I think this still makes it quite bad because, right, from all the time where all of this information was not out yet, right, all of the harassment that this guy faced, all of the opportunity costs, and all of the jobs that he lost in the media industry because he was painted in this light, because nobody knew the full story, but everyone is very reactionary, just want to jump on and hate. It forms this sort of like group thing mentality where you don't really get a full picture, and it's very unpopular to get a full picture. If you want to come out to stand up for this person, people will call you abortion apologist, or they will call you like a lot of names, and then they try to bring you down. So it becomes like a very group thing, it's like any differing opinions about a certain situation, right, is seen as immoral. It's seen as like, oh my god, you're as bad as this guy. And it becomes very popular to call them out online so that you can make yourself look as virtuous and like, wow, you're so moral and you're so great for denouncing this person. But then actually you don't really actually know what the hell's going on in this situation. You're only fed the information that this other party wants you to see.
But this brings me back to the point on speed, right? Speed of so Don was talking about technology. Yes, social media information gets spread so fast. But then what about the counter argument then, right? So it takes some time for the full information to be dug up. Yeah, obviously. But the motion is has been set, right, to cancel this particular celebrity or whoever it is. Right.
I think sorry man, you go on.
Yeah. So the speed by which I think the things are happening, I think the idea of saying that, hey, look, this is something that we cannot approve, we need to shut this person down. If it's true, then shut this person down, right? But if it's not true, then let the information surface. right? But of course, okay, I have to admit though that there's this idea of calling out for full information, sort of a full investigation that rarely, or if at all, right, gets called out during any moment of cancelling of an individual or of a celebrity. No one asks for, hey, look, let's dig up the full information. Rather, people will call out, hey, look, let's dig up for more information so that we can cancel this person. Yeah, so that part I would agree lah. So the conclusion is sort of usually made even before full information is disclosed. But I still think that the idea of, hey, look, this is something that we cannot support. This particular action is something that is against our values and we should not support it. I think that's something that should be supported. It's a movement that we should support, I think, because I wouldn't want to support what do you call that, a rapist, for example, right?
Yeah. Something unjust.
Yeah. I mean,
well,
it could be legally all right, but if it comes to values, then maybe that's not aligned with what the society holds. Then I think, because it should be justified. I mean, the cancel culture, the cancelling of this particular individuals, I guess, could be justified. Like Dikosh, for example, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But Dikosh is still is no longer in the radar, man. I don't know where is he at.
Uni, I think about your earlier point on the speed, right? I think the speed of technology and all that is okay. Like how people get the information is fine. But with getting it and then cancelling it, that is opening up a can of worms for me lah, because I feel that if you only know a certain bit of the topic and then you expect someone to respond like immediately and also to disprove it immediately, especially if it's like a negative, right? Then how are you going to do that? One, and two is also you know how people are, they're very reactionary, they're very emotional, they only read the headlines, they won't really dig into the story, they don't care about the nuance, right? And this kind of group thing kind of culture where it's one mob against one person is just going to, it's going to be very easy for you to hate and jump on the bandwagon and keep hating this person rather than be the one on the opposite side, right? It's also going to, like, for example, if your friend asks you, hey, so what do you think about this NOC situation? Suddenly you have to empathize and then you got to quickly give out a politically correct answer. The society will probably also become more sensitive towards these kind of topics, right? So sensitive to the point where they are being offended on behalf of the like supposed victim. And suddenly they will take it into their own hands. They will send the fella like crazy messages like, I hate you, I hope you get cancer, blah, 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 blah. Like, I remember there was once, right, I tweeted out something about Jade Rasif. And it was saying how that it was quite funny that she's now like looking down upon like gossip and all of that when her whole career was based off like holok and like blowjobs and like all the trashy stuff lah, right? And then I got random hate mail from the people who decided to be offended on her behalf and saying like, oh, I'm a sexist person, blah, 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 blah. That I'm a bastard, blah, blah, blah. And all these words of hate, right, was coming as if I was attacking them, you know, but it's a totally different person. So they take this situation and then they absorb it and then they become one with it. They become Jade Rasif and they're talking to me as if they're Jade Rasif and trying to like defend her and like try to respond to the criticisms lah. But anyway, I think this is where we are kind of different, where like as a whole, right, I think cancel culture is toxic, but the only situations that I can see it actually occurring that kind of makes sense would be like if certain conditions are met, then I will approve of cancel culture. Like sure, like in the instance where there's no other avenues, you know, for instance where there is going to be greater harm caused if the person were to remain silent. if the target that they are attacking here is systemic and not so much on an individual level, right? It could be like the government, or it could be a certain part, or like the prison system, or something, rather than an individual person. If there's also reasonable evidence that they can provide that, okay, it's beyond doubt that this person is messed up and has to be removed ASAP, then yeah, cancel culture will kind of make sense there. And also lastly is if the power relations is damn stuck. So if like you want to complain about Jeff Bezos, for example, right? And then you got no avenues to go because Amazon doesn't have a union. And obviously, if you want to complain also, it's against their own best interest. Right? They want to protect the CEO rather than protect you, right? So if those kind of situations are there and they're really, and it meets all of these criteria or conditions, right? Then I can agree with you that, okay, cancel culture has its place there and then, but it's only a very, very specific and for a very, very small amount of situations. Like if you look at, come back to the NOC thing again, if their goal of this cancel culture and this canceling Sylvia was to make it so that the employees will be treated fairly, that they can have fair wages and then can be paid on time and stuff like that, right? Why would you not go to like MOM? Why would you bring it online and ruin their brand and then destroy all of the business prospects that they have? I think because of this, right, they lost up to $250,000 a week just because of this saga. Because nobody wanted to be associated with them. They're the shit now, right? So imagine that a $250,000 for about 50 over people that work in the company. So how then cancel culture becomes very hypocritical in that sense, because this is the goal that you set out, right? For social justice and all that, to give them fair wages, to pay them on time. But let's say they go bankrupt because of all your decisions and all the flaming that you do that is destroying this company right now, 250K a week. Then they go bankrupt, they have to fire people, and then how are they going to give fair wages? How are they going to pay them on time? You're just making everyone's life worse, which is then to me, it's just like, that's exactly why I'm not in favor of this tool.
Okay, so you were saying, talking about the in cases where there's no other avenue, I think I can think of one, for example, the Harvey Weinstein, however you pronounce him, the Hollywood director, or some big shot. So he was the one who has been, sexually abusing female celebrities, right? So, but eventually he got called out, and he was finally charged and incarcerated, I think. So that's one, I guess, one example of when people are too afraid to come up, and then but then this cancel culture became an avenue, right, to call him out. And in fact, not just him, but I think of the whole idea of harassing women in general. So it sparked the Me Too movement. So that's one, I guess. But then you talked about what was it to talk about? Another thing I want to talk about was shucks, I lost my train of thought. What was it? Okay, Don, anything respond?
No man, no, I don't have any.
What was the last point you were talking about, Sim? Shucks.
Yeah, I was talking about how hypocritical it is that you want to do social justice and then use cancel culture as that, and then you end up like basically destroying the goal that you set out to have, and then you also implicate a lot of other random people in this situation.
Yeah. Okay, so on that note, right? So like I said, I think earlier on, so cancel culture, that I from my understanding of my observation, some of these things that have been cancelled, right? The objective isn't necessarily to improve conditions, but it could merely be a statement. Hey, look, we don't approve of this action. The action could be perfectly legal, right? But it's something that we don't value. We cannot agree to this. It's legal, but we are not going to accept it. And as a sign to say that, hey, look, we cannot support it, we are going to cancel this organization or cancel this individual. So I think that's what people are trying to do with NOC. Not so much on really improving the conditions, but really to, hey, look, Sylvia, I'm sorry the way you treat your employees, not acceptable. Is it legal? Actually, it is. No, it's not as if they are not paid. Even if they are not paid, then of course that's not legal lah. But if it's overtime and things like that, I think it's within their the contract and it's perfectly legal, right? But can we support such things? Can we? Yeah. So can we support a media that actually abuse their talent?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
So,
I agree. So
mm,
then the problem becomes not NOC but Sylvia, right? But by canceling Sylvia,
yeah, correct.
and then all the collateral damage that you're doing to NOC will also implicate NOC and all its staff and previous staff that's coming into the story. So that's why I feel like it's very short-sighted if you to go this way. Because if you see like the recent new videos, right, all of them got dislike and thumbnail, and those videos had nothing to do with Sylvia.
Yep.
This was just part of the company. But that's the thing with a person, right? They become very intertwined. When you think of NOC, you think of Sylvia, you think of Ryan. So I mean, it makes sense that they are being disliked, lah. But does it actually make sense that they're being disliked? No, they're two totally separate things. But that's just what comes with this cancel culture. People are just not going to watch your videos after. People are just not going to support you anyway. Even though actually, right, you are trying to help the employees of the NOC, but then now it's just become in this sense where the damage is done.
I see. Fair enough. Right. So yeah, you are right. I guess if so, I think what I can think of would be, for example, the Harvey Weinstein thing, right? So okay, so Hollywood has this culture of abusing the women, so let's just cancel Hollywood altogether. So that obviously not going to happen, and that's not possible, and that doesn't benefit anyone, especially anyone who's out to look for entertainment, I guess. Yeah. So I can see what you mean, but I guess on NOC's level, I think I'm not justifying what people are doing. I agree it's not right. So if you were to say that, hey, look, NOC and Sylvia are two separate entities, but if people are not aware, they should, hey, look, no, we don't. NOC started, Sylvia was a co-founder of NOC. She's, yeah, so, yeah, fine, may not be, the videos, the recent videos may not be associated with Sylvia. It's got nothing to do with Sylvia at all. But hey, look, again, the idea of, I just want to convey this idea that, hey, look, I cannot approve whatever Sylvia did. Because while you want to accept that, or while you want to acknowledge that the two are different, I mean, Sylvia and NOC are, I guess, are synonymous right now. Right? Even Ryan, who I think seems to have claimed that he left his position as a director. I think that turned out to be not true.
Yeah.
Right. Because in fact so he was still in that position. He was still a director. So again, this idea of, hey, look, in the end, can I really trust you? At the end of the day, NOC equals Sylvia and Ryan. No matter whatever you say, you may leave your position, whatever, but at the end of the day, it's your face whenever we see NOC, right? Until it becomes, I don't know, really someone at the front harming the company, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe because it's so unlike the Hollywood case where because it's really big, too big to fail, I guess. But NOC, I think, if NOC falls down, so what? We have other local media that we can go to for entertainment. Yeah, and that we can support because they don't abuse their talent, right? And then this current talent from NOC can just jump over, right? Yeah, I'm not saying it's easy, but that's an option. Why don't they do that?
A good option.
I think it still comes down to the systems rather than anything else. Like for the Harvey Weinstein thing, right? That one, I am full support of the Me Too movement and everything, because I felt that not only gave the chance for the girls to come out to speak out and find the bravery of how they were raped by this horrible person, but it also gave like a global movement for feminism, for all the girls to come out and say, I'm not from Hollywood, but these are my experiences. #MeToo, 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 right? So yeah, I think that's great. But then that became somewhat more than cancel culture. It became not just looking at this horrible person, just like slamming him and criticizing him and getting him banned from society and whatnot, but it also evolved into something that is a therapy for all the people that were hurt. It's more for the victims rather than the perpetrator now, which I was a great fan of lah. Whether or not, because like for example, right, if let's say, okay, we bring back that Harvey Weinstein example, okay, and then he did all those horrible crimes, right? That was like, even though 20, 30 years ago, whatever, and let's say he comes out of prison and let's say he has changed, right? I don't think he will ever be accepted by society ever again. It's not gonna be like an easy Logan Paul situation. And that's one of the things that I have with cancel culture also, is that it's very unforgiving. It's like you can make a mistake when you were much younger, and then you will forever be known as that, and then it's going to be very, very hard to convince people, because everyone's going to say that your apology was fake, you're only doing this because you got caught. It becomes such a very toxic environment, right? It doesn't really provide you any room for growth. Like, if I'm going to be cancelled and seen as a monster by everyone in my country, right, then why the fuck would I want to change and better myself? If I'm not going to get any jobs, and if I'm not going to get any further and there's literally no way out for me because everyone is hating on me and everyone thinks I'm shit and no one's going to want to work with me, right? There's no incentive for me to change anymore. It's like, bam, like they just really want to fuck you off from society, and that's the problem that I have with it, because I feel from my stance, right, that cancel culture is very much the same as like a death penalty, where it doesn't really kill you, but like there's just very, very little avenues of return and turning over a new leaf. So if I'm looking at it from like a retributive, like kind of rehabilitation kind of perspective, right, of the person, right, I think cancel culture is going to be very, 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 very bad for that aspect. I don't see how that would motivate me to like, oh shit, everyone's hating on me, I'm going to lose everything that I have, and then my rice bowl, everything is going to be gone. Like, for example, okay, if we talk about Silva right now, it's quite, like, I guess, a good thing that she has made her successes in Singapore for the past, I don't know, decade or whatever, that she's been in NOC, and she hopefully has some money. But after this saga ends, right, I'm not sure what she's gonna do, bro. Like, if let's say, even if it was true that she mistreated the workers, do you think it's fair that she won't be able to get any jobs or won't be able to have this type of positions ever again, just based off this one incident or several incidents, where actually the full story is not really that she's just generally a nasty person, but a lot of other factors also contributed to it, like Ryan playing the suicide card, or like being manipulative, or all these other things that we don't know about. It's like, do you think that then is deserved? She probably won't be able to have her rice bowl ever again because of this. And if she does, it's not going to be the same. Like, how is anyone going to work with her on such a big scale? It's going to be either she gets those like very low end type of jobs, or maybe even no one's going to hire her in the media industry already.
Yeah, so that's what cancel culture does, I guess, to individuals. Very unforgiving, like you said. I would have to agree with that. It's very, very difficult for anyone to bounce back unless they have a really more strong base support of base fans. Like what I would think for the Logan Paul case was all about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think even for like Kanye West, when he said like slavery is a choice, and he was taking photos with Donald Trump, he's still well loved. Probably not as much, probably his album sales could have done better if he didn't say all this nonsense, do all this nonsense, but he's just too big to cancel. So honestly, I think cancel culture works, is effective, right? But it's effective for only to the lower to the mid kind of people or celebrities. The elites are just still untouchable, which is, I think, it's quite sad, but that just shows like one of its own limitations as well.
And I think that it won't work as well on organizations as well, right? Because some organizations are just too big to fail as well, right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So anyway, Yeah, Don, anything else you want to add?
It would be nice if cancel culture could apply to the elites, though. That would be nice. That's just my take.
But because they are so untouchable that it doesn't work.
Yeah, that's not fair.
I mean,
Then that's okay. So
yeah,
could it also be because the elites would have access to let's say lawyers, which is what I think Sylvia tried to do, right? So she said, "Hey, issue, threat. What do you call that? Threaten some of them to court." I think that's what Sylvia tried to do initially. Got her lawyers to send letters. Yeah, so I think the elites would have access to lawyers as well, and then that would sort of instill fear in the common folks. And that's why cancel culture won't work on them as well.
I think you also need a huge shift in how the resource system works in terms of capitalism and everything else. Because even let's say you manage to cancel someone and they don't have lawyers, right? So maybe like, for example, J.K. Rowling, when she said that, she believes that a girl is a girl and you cannot change it. Transgenderism is a mental disease or something like that, right? Even you cancel her, you don't buy her books, right? She's still a billionaire. Like, she still get invited to all of these public events. She's still a celebrity. You cancel, can you really cancel her? She has all these millions. She still can influence so many things, so many organizations. How can you really cancel her though?
All right. So anything else we should talk about regarding cancel culture? Anything we missed out?
Where do you guys think is it acceptable in society? Do you think we should cancel people on Twitter? Do you think online should be a space where we cancel people for what they say online, or do you think we should cancel people in the workplace, in the army, in comedy clubs? Do you think we should cancel comedians? Where do you think cancel culture fits, if it has to fit?
I think it has no boundary, man. If it happens in Twitter, it's gonna happen in YouTube. That person it's gonna happen again somewhere else. You know what I mean? It's cancel culture is just hatred, and hatred has no boundary. It just goes everywhere the guy goes.
Okay, so where do you think it is acceptable?
Like when it's acceptable?
Yeah, like where? Like which part? Because I think a lot of us won't really go to a comedy club and then we hear a joke that's supposed to be a joke, right? And it's supposed to be offensive, and then we find too much of offense and then we want to cancel the comedian. Do you think it makes sense if it exists there? Or then where is a healthy medium for this type of tool to be used? Or maybe I should direct this question to Union, because he's the one that is more in favor of this.
Hold on, before that, I just remembered something. Don, I think we were talking about Dikosh last week, and so Dikosh got cancer, right? So do you think he should be forgiven if, let's say, he came out and then apologized?
Yes, he should be forgiven. A second chance.
Okay. And then take up his role again as an influencer on YouTube and put on video and should be supported and so that.
Yeah. Whatever he wants to do, like anything, like whether he want to go back to his own line or a new career. Yeah. But I think people should be more forgiving. Yeah. A second chance. Yellow ribbon, something like that.
Yeah, pretty much. Probably not in childcare or anywhere there's all our children around, because but yeah, in terms of career wise, any other career choices are fine.